Thanks so much for joining us. We are the Massie twins from GoneWithTheTwins.com, and today we'll be doing a quick review on Spider-Man Far From Home. So this film picks up pretty much exactly where the previous films left off, where Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, essentially Avengers Endgame, where that left off. And this picks up with Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, and he is basically struggling to come to terms with the death of Iron Man and how he can fill his shoes, or if he can, if he should, if he even wants to.
Yeah, and at the start of this, I kind of enjoyed this. For the first time, they really address, and here they call it the blip. And what this is the reappearance of all of those people after Thanos snapped his fingers, right? So the snap was the original disappearance, and the blip was when everybody spontaneously returned, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because now you've got, for some actually strange reason, you've got characters who are older than the other characters, and they're all still in the same class. I don't know if that quite lined up.
The thing about it is that they kind of just make jokes about it, and use humor to explain away the blip.
At least it's there.
Does it really make sense? I'm not sure if it really makes sense or not.
But again, and I think a lot of this film, there's so much humor throughout this film, and a lot of it is used to deflect serious situations, serious explanations, anything that they don't really want to delve into. You just throw a snappy one-liner in there, and then they kind of gloss over it, and it's over with. But anyway, for the most part, this film is about Spider-Man going off on vacation. He's 16 at this point. He's got a high school vacation that he's going to in Europe, and they're traveling all across Europe, and he's trying to get closer to Mary Jane. So you've got kind of this high school romance, high school drama. I hate to throw the comparison of John Hughes out there, but I'll say it because people instantly know what that is. To me, there's almost two films here, but they're also kind of the same. In one aspect, you've got like this John Hughes sort of a film where it's all about shenanigans. It's all about adolescent angst and drama and romance.
All of the awkward, romancing and the flirting and the failed.
Which seems different, mainly because it's all young actors and actresses, young people. But at the same time, it feels very similar to the Iron Man movies, this number 2 and 3 in particular, because Tony Stark's character was always about being this kind of angsty, almost adolescent, uncontrollable sort of a figure. So in a large way, it's almost continuing. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is very much a perfect continuation of Tony Stark's Iron Man. It's the carrying forward that same personality and all of those same character flaws and faults and issues that he's dealing with mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, but it's actually not long before a new character, Quentin Beck, who's played by Jake Gyllenhaal, kind of enters the foray, and he is, as you probably know, his character is Mysterio, and he claims to be from another dimension, an alternate Earth.
Yeah, which is another thing that would be very interesting to get into, but they gloss over that again with just a quick couple of random jokes, and nobody wants to explain
6-1 something or other, and he's from Earth something else.
It's a little bit unnecessary to. But again, we're already in this very sticky sort of a climate where you.
I think if you
aliens and post
if you buy into how Avengers Endgame played out.
Yeah, but I will say what's fascinating about the themes in this film is, even though on the outside, sure, we're going to get a lot of action, we're going to get a lot of explosions, we're going to get a lot of posing and a lot of one-liners and that kind of thing, and lots of humor, lots of funny humor to show MJ getting closer to Peter Parker and his identity and those kind of things. I also like there's a lot of underlying themes of misdirection and deception and perspectives and the way people are in their own little bubbles and the way people want to believe things that they see, believe things that they hear. It's oddly tied into the current social and political climate, which I thought this is the kind of superhero for this generation. It's something that everybody will probably see beyond superheroism. It's there's a realism to that. But again, before they get into that too much, there's always a little bit of humor, always a one-liner here and there.
And of course, plenty of action. For me, the early action sequences, Spider-Man is kind of battling with Mysterio. They're teaming up to battle elemental monsters, as you probably saw in the trailers. And these are kind of just giant CG messes, and they're not as fun as perhaps they could have been. The good thing, though, is that as the film progresses, the action sequences get more and more complex and more interesting. And toward the end of the movie, when you have a final climax, the battling, the chaos, everything is much more interesting and very well choreographed.
Yeah, for me, it's all, the problem is while the technology is so advanced, everything looks good. The problem is nothing really stands out. So even though there's a lot more chaos at the conclusion, it doesn't impress me any more than the chaos at the beginning.
It's top of the line CG, but it's still CG. So you've got Spider-Man as just a computer image jumping around all over the screen.
Comic book fans will probably love all of the posing and all of the moves that he does, but for me, it's just a lot of noise and it's a light show.
The way the choreography is designed is for the fans, I think. It's for people who enjoy the comic books, people who recognize the different things he does in the comic books being brought to the screen. The posing and all that stuff is part of it. So.
Yeah, and while this is still Sony Columbia kind of merged with Marvel, you definitely get this is more of a Marvel film than some of the other Sony versions that their take on it. This feels more and more like a Marvel film, and now with all of the returning characters, like Happy is back in here, and
one of the things that a lot of these superhero films suffer from is a lack of a really interesting villain. And here, Jake Gyllenhaal, he's a great performer, and I believe his definitely better than the Vulture in the previous Spider-Man film. I think he'll be remembered a little bit longer. The look of his character, though, I like the outfit and everything, but the giant bubble head reminded me a little bit too much of the Black Manta in Aquaman, where it's just a little bit too large, a little awkward, and I found that kind of distracting. But other than that,
but all in all, I think it's an entertaining film. It ties right along with the rest of the Marvel universe, so fans will definitely want to keep up with this. And there's 2 cutscenes at the end, and they're little hooks for the continuing series.
Lots of little nods.
Yeah, there's going to be more movies and a lot of returning characters that people have fallen in love with over the years. So and I think Tom Holland's a fitting Spider-Man. So it's an interesting, decent addition to the universe.
Well, that about wraps things up. Thanks so much for watching, and we will be back with another movie review before you know it.